Hi everybody and welcome to Best of Both Worlds. Stay tuned because we have a special guest today. Today we have a very special treat. We have Karen Farnsworth here. Welcome, Karen.
Thanks. Always fun to be here.
Well, we always love it when you visit. And she is going to show us how to quilt this beautiful 10-point fussy cut star. And here's a picture of it. And so we're just going to dig right in and get started. So where did you begin on this, Karen?
With this quilt, the focus I thought was these beautiful fabrics.
And they are gorgeous. Ooh.
They are beautiful. So I started with the star, with the gold star, and I designed a custom pattern to go in each of these pieces here. Okay, the first thing that I did was take a picture of just this triangle. Just took a picture with my phone, and then I emailed it to myself so that I could work with it in standalone mode. Okay, so I've come to CreativeStudio, and I can do this either in standalone mode, SAM, or on my stitcher, either way, but I need to get that image into CreativeStudio. So I'm going to come over to File menu and go down to Import Image. And it's going to open up the default Statler images that everybody gets when they install CreativeStudio 7. But my picture is on my desktop, so I am going to navigate to the folder where I saved it, and there it is. This star custom image, select that and open it. CreativeStudio puts it on screen for me in a design group, but I need to clean up the screen a little bit first. I want to get rid of my crosshair because I don't need that. I'm going to go up to View and uncheck crosshair. I might also want to turn off my grid because I won't need that. And then some other useful things to do would be to right-click, go to Image Attributes, and I can do a couple of things here. I can change the opacity of that image, make it a little bit lighter, more see-through, so that when I draw lines on top of it, draw the pattern, I can see those lines better. So I've made it faint, but I can still see the main elements of the fabric, which is what I need. And I can also change line thickness of my pattern. Now I don't have a pattern on screen yet, so I can't see what that thickness is. We'll just look at that in a minute if we need to change it. So I'm going to close Image Attributes, and I'm ready to start drawing. I'm going to use Draw Line, and I'm going to use Draw Arc, and I'm going to be bouncing a little bit back and forth between these two. I'm going to start with Draw Arc. So I'm going to come up to this icon, select it, and you can see my crosshair, or my cursor is now a crosshair. And I get to choose the start point of my first arc. One click gives me my start point. Second click gives me my midpoint. And then I choose my end point of that arc. That line looks pretty good. It's pretty thick. I think we can see it well enough. And CreativeStudio 7 is really cool because you can see that these arcs, when you're in Draw Arc mode, the arcs stay connected, so I don't have to go back and find that endpoint. CS has kept it connected until I tell it I need to have a jump stitch. So my start point is chosen, choose a midpoint, choose an endpoint. And I'm just going to keep on moving, creating these arcs until I'm ready to maybe add a line in there instead. So I'm going to right-click twice to get out of Draw Arc mode and come up to the top and choose Draw Line. And then come back down, and you can see that pink ball indicates that my snap is turned on because I do want my line to connect to that last arc that I drew. Choose my first point. And then I might have to turn off snaps so that I can move that end point of that line to where I want it to. See, it's trying to connect to the end point of the arc. So I'm going to come down to the bottom, turn off snaps. And now I can draw that line wherever I want. End point of my line is right there. Let's put another arc in. So I'm going to right click twice to get out of draw line. Choose my arc tool, draw arc, come back down. I need that endpoint snap again. So come turn on snap. And it's snapping to that endpoint, midpoint, third point, and just keep drawing. Right click twice to get out. I'm going to put a line in here to follow this main element of the fabric. Draw a line. My endpoint is on. I need to turn it off. Now if you like keyboard shortcuts, you can also use the S key on your keyboard instead of coming down to the bottom and turning off snaps here. I'm going to put a point right there. Now I need just a couple more arcs and I'll be done. So I'm going to right click twice. To escape draw line, come up to draw arc, turn on my snap, grab that endpoint, draw an arc, pretty close to the edge, one more arc. Now can you see this seam line right here in the fabric? That's where the fabric pattern mirrors itself. So that's as far as I need to go with my drawing, is to right there. Now all of my drawing is finished. I can just use these lines to mirror the rest of the pattern, to fill the entire wedge, this entire area of this quilt block, of this quilt.
That is so cool, Karen. I've never seen the fabric pulled in before and drawn over like that. That's just awesome.
Yeah, thank you. We really wanted to highlight these fabrics. Okay, so I'm finished drawing. I need to mirror this section of the pattern. And first I need everything to kind of be connected. I'm going to choose my start point, my starting element. That would be right here. And I'm going to use order join, one of my very favorite tools. That's the link icon up here, to make sure that all of these different segments are all connected in one pattern. Now they all highlighted when I used order join, so I know that they are all connected, but they're separate segments until I use combine patterns to turn it into one design, one pattern. So I'm going to click on combine patterns, and now you can see that they are all one segment, which makes it much easier to work with when I'm mirroring things. So from here I'm going to scroll out a little bit, because I'm first going to mirror this over this direction. And if I don't think it's thick enough, if I can't see it well enough, I can right click on the CAD screen, image attributes, go to my line thickness and maybe increase that line thickness a little bit so that I can see it really well. I like that a little bit better. So I'm going to get out of image attributes, close that form, select this pattern, and mirror that pattern. This is our mirror icon. And the mirror function, when I click on that, instructs me to choose 2 points on the CAD screen. The first point I choose is my end point. And then I can turn off the snap and just bring a straight line down. CreativeStudio 7 mirrors over a line. So if I draw a line, it doesn't really matter how long it is. It can go all the way down as long as it's fairly straight. And it will mirror that design straight across. So there's half of my design. I'm going to deselect that. Let's try order join again to make sure that these two sections are connected. See, I've got one section, second section. I'm going to go back to my start point, back up to the order join icon, just to make sure they're connected. Everything is highlighted, that means it's connected. So now I can mirror again. I'm going to come up to my mirror icon. Select that pattern. It's one pattern now. Go to mirror, and choose my line, my 2 points to create a line to be mirrored across. I might choose point about right here and about right here. So now you can see it mirrored that pattern beautifully, but I want the design to be connected so that it will stitch from one side of the blade and come back down the other side. So I might have to do a little bit of playing with one end or the other. And this is when I use nodes mode. I'm going to scroll in a little bit. I like to be up close and personal when I'm using nodes. I'm going to use the nodes icon, or you can use the keyboard shortcut, which is F7. And I'm going to grab this node, bring this guy over here a little bit farther. Maybe grab this one and bring it over. And I want to snap those two ends together. And this line's kind of thick now. Let's go change our image attributes really fast. That's really thin. Let's do it about like that. Close image attributes. Select one piece. Nodes mode, nodes view, bring it over, bring the other one closer. I'm just kind of finessing this, and I want to turn my snap on so it'll snap together. And then I want to turn my snap off because I want to reshape this. I want this one to be more round. Now, of course, you can finesse this as much as you want. You can work with it forever. But that's about where I want this design to be. I'm scrolling out here again so I can look at it. I'm going to make this my start point now, and it's going to stitch all the way across to this point and back down. And then I'll be able to place it in those blades. So I select this part, this design first, order join one more time, make sure everything is connected. Now can you see my start point? My little start icon is over here and my end icon. So that is now all connected. I want to combine it as one pattern. So back up to the top, choose combine. And let's view all. Here's my view all icon up here on the menu bar. I like that one. And we'll go to image attributes so we can see it a little bit better. There's our pattern. Now I want to use this pattern 10 times on this quilt because I have 10 blades in this star. I want to save this pattern maybe for future use as well. So to save a design in CreativeStudio 7, you can right click that design, come down to the bottom of the right click menu, choose Save Pattern. And we get our save pattern form. I can choose to save it in the database, which is my pattern manager over here. Save it just to my project. I can save it as a file too, a GQP file. I get to name it whatever I want. We're just going to call it gold. And I can even give it tags like type. I can give it keywords. I can put it in a collection. I can make notes about how I might want to use this pattern. I can even choose to save this pattern so that it can only be stitched on my stitcher or by my user account. So we have a lot of options for saving here. Once I've made all the changes I want to, I can save and close, and that pattern shows up in my pattern manager. And from there I can use it to place it on my quilt and stitch it in each of these blades for this gold star quilt.
Karen, I'm just wondering on this pattern, and maybe some viewers are as well, you didn't close the left side of it. And so what's that going to do on the quilt?
Okay, great question. I left it open on purpose on this end, the start end of the pattern, so that when we place it on the quilt, where all of the wedges come together, it will form kind of a star design with that opening. And you'll see that when we stitch it out here in just a second.
That's cool. That's cool. Great. Well, let's see it stitched.
Okay, we've come to the quilt, and now we're going to stitch that pattern. First I need a boundary. So I'm going to draw a boundary and just click the corners.
I love that sound it makes.
It makes me feel like something's being accomplished.
Yes.
And you can click as many points as you need to make an accurate boundary. And then I'll go to the screen and make sure that the pattern fits in there well. Okay, I'm going to make sure that pattern fits in this boundary. I love that in CS7 I can just drag the design from the manager over onto the screen.
That's cool. That's new. I love it.
It saves so much time. And I can use my anchors or my nodes to make sure it fits the block, the boundary, perfectly. And remember, I made this end open so that the center of the quilt creates kind of a star effect. So I need to actually rotate this design for this particular blade. I'm going to rotate twice with 90 degrees so that down here at the center of the quilt, I have that opening. And then I'm going to go to nodes mode just to pull these ends out to the very edge of the boundary. And then I can do all of the finessing I need to. If there are any more points up here I need to move. Everything looks pretty good. I can make sure it's all centered. Do as much finessing as I need to, and then I can quilt, start quilting. I'm ready to stitch that pattern. Done the bobbin pull up.
This is so cool. I love it because you get everyone exactly the same. When I would do outline quilting with freehand, you know, I try to keep them all the same, but sometimes you don't get them exactly the same as you did the one before. But
freehand has the benefit, of course, of being able to follow exactly.
Yes, you can follow the lines
of that
exactly.
Fabric, whereas I did generally, you know, just
probably
kind of
have to use a tool. Exact, I don't know about exact, but we do try. Yeah. But this gives it a really good, great overall effect. You can see it. Okay, Karen, so you have this cool pattern, which I think is awesome. And just from this fabric, it's just terrific. So what else can we do with that? And maybe you could show us what that's going to look like on the star, because somebody might want to actually see it on the star, you know, as a whole.
Yeah, I can show you on the screen what it looks like in a circular array. I put the pattern on the screen, on the CAD screen, and I'm going to show you the new circular array feature in CreativeStudio 7. So let's select that pattern and then the circular array icon and see how cool that is. It automatically
blew it
brings
apart,
up.
didn't it?
It really did. So I've already got, let's see, 10 blades in here, and that's how many star blades I have. And then I have the opportunity to move that center circle over. And if it's a little too jumpy, I can uncheck connect. And then I can take that center circle and move it to where I feel like it looks good.
Whoa,
and now I have to scroll
magic.
in. Yeah, isn't that neat?
Yeah.
So I can scroll in to make sure that those endpoints are kind of connected. And once I like it, I check OK. We love the big green check mark.
The big green check.
There we go.
Oh, that's so different. Looks so different. It's beautiful.
Now you might notice that the center of this design is much more dense than kind of this outside ring. And I did that on purpose when I created the design because this particular quilt had a little bit of fullness in the center that I was able to deal with by making a design that was a little bit more dense in that treble area.
So it just quilts it down and flattens it out.
Yep.
That looks like a snowflake now. So you could save that as a pattern, right? And then use it as a medallion on something else.
You could. It would be the basis of a great whole cloth quilt too.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Well, this has been an absolute treat, Karen, having you show how to bring the fabric in and draw over it, and that was new to me, and wow, I just have so much to learn.
Oh, thank you for having me. I absolutely love designing patterns. That's one of my favorite parts of quilting, so thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And of course we have a whole quilt to finish, so you'll be back, right?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So be sure you watch the next episode, and thank you again for joining us.